Five Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists, including an assistant professor at Kashmir University, were killed in an encounter that began this morning in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian. A top Hizbul commander, Saddam Padar, once considered close to terrorist Burhan Wani, was also among those killed. But five locals, including a 17-year-old boy, died in clashes that started during the encounter and close to the encounter site. The valley has been witnessing a rising number of terror-related incidents, bringing collateral damage in the form of civilian and security forces deaths. Efforts are being made by the government to bring back local youth from the fold of terror groups. But is that working, or are more and more educated Kashmiris now picking up the gun?
आप फायरिंग बंद कर दो और चुपचाप बाहर आ जाओ.
In the middle of a raging encounter, the SSP of Shopian, Shailinder Mishra, appealing to top terror commanders, including Hizbul Mujahideen Saddam Padar, to surrender.
बोल रहा हूँ SSP शोपियान.
At the end of a 7-hour gun battle, 4 terrorists and an assistant professor of the Sociology Department of Kashmir University, Mohammad Rafi Bhatt, were killed. But as news of the encounter spread, there were massive protests in Shopian and adjoining areas. 5 civilians were killed and dozens injured in police firing during these clashes.
फायरिंग बंद कर दो, खुदा के वास्ते कुछ नहीं मिलना इससे. आप बाहर आ जाओ.
The police's attempts to negotiate with the terrorists failed. They had even brought the professor's parents, who asked him to surrender, but he refused. Missing since Friday, Bhatt had a doctorate in sociology and had cleared the UGC's Junior Research Fellowship recently. Some of his recent posts on Facebook show his state of mind.
हमने काफी देर तक फायरिंग रोक के रखी. इनको पीएस सिस्टम पर अपील किया गया. यहाँ पे इनको मौका दिया जा रहा है पूरा. अभी भी हम इनको अपील कर रहे हैं तब से कि आप सरेंडर कर दें. लेकिन अभी तक अंदर से कोई रिस्पांस नहीं आ रहा है.
The Jammu and Kashmir police chief tweeted, "Encounter concluded at Badigam Zampora Shopian. 5 bodies of terrorists recovered. Well done, boys. Army, CRPF, Jammu and Kashmir police." But already a debate has started on the incident. Omar Abdullah retweeted Shujat Bukhari's tweet, which said, "Sadly, this is also an answer to those who claim jobs and development are the solution to the violence and alienation in Kashmir. This is another tragic development in a steady stream of tragedies in Kashmir." Omar Abdullah added, "It is an individual choice to take any path. At the same time, it is disturbing to see an assistant professor of Kashmir University, Dr. Rafi, joining militant ranks and getting killed today. The effort must be to save the youth from being consumed in violence. Political solution only way."
Security forces say that today's operation was a major success, but the fact remains that 5 civilians were also killed. Do the security forces really factor in the civilian casualties and collateral damage while going about these operations is the question that's being asked. In Srinagar, Zafar Iqbal for NDTV.
Well, joining me tonight, Gauhar Gilani, political analyst and journalist, Professor Gul M. Wani, Director of Kashmir Studies in Kashmir University, and Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, defense analyst, also with us tonight. Professor Wani, let me begin with you. Dr. Mohammad Rafi Bhatt, among the 5 so-called Hizbul terrorists who were killed in that encounter in Shopian today, was Dr. Bhatt someone you knew personally? Just how shocking and worrying is it that an assistant professor of Kashmir University, a sociologist, a PhD, decided to take up the gun and lost his life so soon after?
In fact, he was a part-time teacher in the Department of Sociology as it came, the news came to us. In fact, to be very candid, not known to me, but in any way, whether it is personally known to me or not known to me, he was a JRF qualified research scholar, a doctorate, and that too teaching in a department where obviously alternative thinking is the subject matter of discussion, a subject like sociology, etc., etc. This is really disturbing and very frightening that what exactly is happening as far as the contemporary Kashmir situation is concerned. And what is very important to recognize is that, it all unfolded in the aftermath of 2016 Burhan Wani's killings. And in fact, one of the commanders who got killed in this encounter today happened to be a companion of Burhan Wani also. Right. In one way or the other, we are continuing with the legacy of, or what's called as the cult of Burhan Wani. And the addition of this sociology assistant professor
Yes.
today is in fact adding very frightening dimensions to the Kashmir situation. And what I would in fact suggest and recommend today as we are discussing this situation is that we still have in fact the time, and we in fact also have in fact the necessary we need to have the necessary insight to understand that the sooner we move from a security template,
Yes.
from a security paradigm to a political paradigm,
Yes.
I think we are going to reap enormous benefits out of that.
Okay, fair point, and I want to take that right across to Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad. Now, are we seeing a new groundswell here, Lieutenant General, that's now deadlier than the militancy of the past? And Professor Golwani, who's actually taught at Kashmir University along with Dr. Bhatt, is saying that it's time to move away from a security template to some sort of a political solution. Just two frightening statistics that I will offer up to you: 166% rise in civilian deaths in 1 year alone. And today also 5 civilians rushed towards the encounter site and were killed in clashes, including a 17-year-old. Also, at least 40 educated young men joining militancy just this year alone. Where are we failing?
Ankita, let me make few points and I'll just bullet them rather than to make long commentary on them. First of all, we must understand that no militant got any length of life more than a few months. As little as 48 hours is what we have just witnessed. All these operations that are taking place by the security forces are based on hard intelligence provided by the local people, which indicate that the local people are pretty much fed up of militancy. The second bullet point I want to make is this: you must have read the statement of the Pakistan Army Chief in newspapers this morning to say we must have peace with India, and only if we have peace with India will there be progress economically in Pakistan. That's a very interesting and a very important statement by the Chief of the Army Staff of Pakistan today. Whether to believe or not to believe, time will tell. The next important point I want to make is this: the recent development between India-China relationship. It has abundantly been made clear that the Chinese are now telling people, may not be directly to Pakistan, that must not accept terrorism anymore, must stop terrorism in Afghanistan and India and elsewhere in the world. And the kind of economic development template that's been put forward by the Chinese today and the world over, every country in the globe is now looking at economic development. And the India-China issue about making a road to Bangladesh, to Myanmar, to Nepal, and connectivity with rail, all of that is now visible to the world.
Okay.
The last point, important thing which I want to make is this: that it is the local politicians who have the control. So therefore, to that extent, while it is a security issue and security-wise militants will be demolished, those who interfere in military operations will be dealt with. There may be some collateral damage, but who is responsible for this? It is not the military. It is the responsibility
But do you believe that Professor Wani has a point when he says there's a need to move away from the...
Pakistan is going to drive the money into them. And just let me finish this. And also, these people must keep quiet for a few months, not make political statements, not make big tamasha at the time of their funerals of these militants, raise passions, encourage children to be thrown stones at own children, burn down schools. All of that will stop. There will be political dialogue.
Political dialogue, but political dialogue, does political dialogue need to go beyond lip service? Gauhar Gilani, do you believe, as Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad points out, that locals are fed up with militancy, or are we seeing a situation where local civilians are actually rushing towards encounter sites and you know, getting killed in clashes, 5 of them even today? And, you know, where does this, it's all very well to talk about going beyond a security template towards a political solution, but how do we go beyond lip service?
Ms. Ankita, first of all, you know, before dissecting what the other guest said, his contradictions in the long statement that he made, I want to make a point that by romanticizing and glamorizing civilian killings in Kashmir, New Delhi actually wants to reiterate three points, which is that killing of a Kashmiri has social sanctity and social approval in mainland India. Kashmir is an enemy territory, and three, that Kashmiri Muslim is the other. So that is the impression on the ground. Number two, since 2008, that is 1 decade before and until now, in last 10 years, more than 600 young boys, mostly teenagers, have been killed in violence by the state forces, government forces. And today, when 5 militants have been killed, 5 civilians have also been killed. And that's we don't hear that narrative, and that's why the social media is often shut down to control the narrative on the social media and to tell the people that only militants have been killed, but no word on the civilian killings.
Right.
Yesterday, one civilian was mowed down by a police vehicle, and in their propaganda press statement, what they said was that it was a tragic road accident. But then a video which is available on the internet, you can see how that brutal killing happened. So the point is that these civilian killings have a social sanctity in mainland India, and that's why this narrative is being constructed.
Professor Golwani, would you agree with Gauhar Gilani? I'm coming back to you, Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, in a moment. But, is it time to relook several policies that are obviously falling short of their desired outcomes in the valley, whether it's internet shutdowns, whether it's going after stone pelters? Are these only going to drive more people out onto the streets?
You see, in fact, there is a tall order. Many things need to be done. You see, unfortunately, after 2014 elections, Jammu and Kashmir Assembly elections, it was a fractured verdict. But that fractured verdict over a period of time, unfortunately, has led to a fractured polity. It has led to more polarization within the regions, more communalization in the regions. And then, as far as the larger Kashmir issue, Kashmir problem is concerned, you see, the important point is that we need to learn something from the period from 2002, 2003 to 2009. I mean, many things are there, many important ideas are there on the table. We, in fact, worked on very important issues, both as far as Delhi and Srinagar were concerned, or even Delhi and Islamabad were concerned. There are very important changes taking place at the regional level these times, and we need to, in fact, read those carefully, those changes, that how we can actually build up a climate of trust and how we can actually transform that atmospherics of negativity into positivity. For that, many things can be done. One, that the state government is absolutely directionless. Something needs to be done to put this government in some direction. Yes. That instead of generating more negativity and polarization and communalization within Jammu and Kashmir state, it needs to be arrested.
Right.
Second, India as a republic has become a republic of hurt, a republic of unfreedom as far as Kashmir is concerned. I mean, question is that major political parties in India have a responsibility to speak on Kashmir. After all, there are very serious issues involved in Kashmir.
Would you say civil society has a role to play as well? We keep blaming the political parties, but civil society plays a larger role in other zones of conflict.
But having said all these things, the responsibility also falls upon the community leaders and upon society in Kashmir as well, and upon, I must say, upon the heads of educational institutions. Okay. Everything cannot be left for the state.
Absolutely.
Everything cannot be left for the government.
Educational institutions are in the crosshairs today, particularly when we have this instance, perhaps the first instance of its kind, of a university lecturer taking up the gun and losing his life. We will leave it at that, though there is so much more to discuss on this. Golwani, Lieutenant General Prasad, Gauhar Gilani, thank you for joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight.